Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new Eagle Eye podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Ray Didinger joins us in just a few moments to look back at the Chargers game, look ahead at the Broncos. At the end of the podcast, we'll kind of look through the Eagles rookie class, but we wanted to start this podcast with Jalen Hurts. Big surprise. You and I were walking at the NovaCare complex today, and we kind of had a revelation about Jalen Hurts and this city. Do you want to fill the people in?
Yeah, it's been really, I don't know, sad to me to see. And we were walking down to the interview tent, and we were just kind of saying how sad it is to see that just people taking sides, and just being mean spirited about it. You know, there's the pro Jalen side and there's the anti Jalen side, and just so much, I don't know, just meanness involved in this. And, you know, maybe Twitter's not a accurate window into what fans are thinking. I don't really know, but I hate to see it. I hate to see, you know, this whole, he sucks. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a blankety blank. No, you don't know what you're talking. And I think a lot of it has to do with the guy in Indy. There's just so many factions, and it's like, let's find out if he can play. It's a game. It's football. Enjoy it. Have fun. He obviously has talent. He has something. There's something there. So to conclude at this point that he's not the guy, he sucks, I mean, it's just not true. But by the same token, to say he's definitely the guy, that's not true either. We don't know. But it just seems like 90% of the people have made up their minds, and like you said, are using everything that happens that supports their argument to kind of conclude that the discussion's over. And you know, it's like every incomplete pass is, see, he's inaccurate, he can't throw. And, you know, every great play is, he's obviously the guy. It's neither's the case. And I would just like to see people be open-minded about this and enjoy watching a young quarterback who's 23 and he started 13 games in his career, watching him get better, watching him rise to the occasion sometimes and certainly make mistakes sometimes, and just watch the process play out. I don't understand why it has to be this antagonistic, my side versus your side thing. And maybe I'm naive. I don't know. I guess that's the way our country is right now, but it's sad to me. It's just sad because this should be something that's fun, like watching a young quarterback, you know, try to win this job for the long haul. And he's obviously got some good things going for him. To me, it's fun. It's like, I don't know if he's a guy or not. I don't know if I'll know in 2 months. I've been saying I think we will. I don't know, but certainly it's nothing to be angry about. It's nothing to be divisive about. It's nothing to be, you know, it's sad to me. It's just been sad to watch it happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's sad for me. For me, it's just, it gets a little frustrating because I think it is kind of what happens in other areas, not necessarily sports. What's happening here, it's like, you know, something happens and it's now fuel for what you already thought, which is fine. I mean, if you think Jalen Hurts isn't the guy, I get it, but let's see what happens here. You know, I you know, because even the team doesn't know. They're trying to figure it out. And I'm skeptical. Like, I think people get that from me, that I'm certainly skeptical about whether or not he can be that top tier franchise quarterback. And I think there's reasons to be skeptical, but that's not to discount what I have seen from him, because there are some good things and there has been growth. So yeah, I just wish we could kind of not have the ups and downs, either all in or all out, and kind of take a step back every once in a while and look at the body of work and try to come at this with a more stable-minded approach.
I don't even like to tweet about him anymore, just because it invariably becomes people just cursing at each other and screaming at each other. And, you know, it's like, I don't want to see that on my timeline. It's really bad. And again, I don't know, maybe Twitter's not maybe Twitter and sports radio are not accurate representations of what fans
Always
think.
a vocal minority, I think.
Yeah, it's just I mean, so the meanness of some of the comments just really surprises me, shocks me. You know, what? How can you be so? You know, I don't know. How can you hate this guy so much because he misses a couple throws every game? I mean, yeah, he misses throws. He misses too many. He misses more than he should. Every quarterback misses some. He just misses more. And maybe it's something he can get better at as the offense evolves and he's not asked to do so much. And I don't know. I see the talent there. He's going to be in the league. You know, he's going to be in the league for a long time. And so the notion that he sucks, he can't play, he's not a quarterback, he doesn't have an arm, he can't throw a football, it's just not true. I mean, watch the pass he threw to Devontae, the touchdown in the fourth quarter Sunday against the Chargers. I mean, watch that play and tell me that guy can't throw a football. I mean, he had protection. Well, he didn't have great protection. It was a blitz, and he read it, and he got the ball out. He made a great throw, and Devontae made a nice play to get in the end zone. He just hasn't done the things he's good at. He hasn't done consistently enough. And I think I'm a little higher on him than you are. I still feel like I haven't seen enough. I feel like if I had to decide now, he probably wouldn't be the guy, but there's 8 weeks left and he's close. I think he's close. There's times when there's wow moments with him. And I don't understand people who don't see that. I just don't know what they're looking at. I don't, if you don't see that there's something there, and that he has a chance to be a player, I don't know what your agenda is, and I don't know. I just don't understand it. I don't know. It's just.
I want to also mention that you're kind of pointing out one side, but the other side is there too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to say he's definitely the guy either, you know, and to point out the good throws and say, see, because for every good throw, you can go, oh, but look at that, you know? So it's an ongoing process. There's 8 games left. And yeah, I want to see more. And I think over the last couple of weeks, I've been encouraged because he's been asked to do less, which has helped. But the style of offense seems to suit him a little bit better. And this is, you know,
it suit any quarterback better than throwing every snap.
Exactly. But it's not just throwing every snap. Like early in the season, it was so RPO heavy. And it was funny because they did that because they thought this is what's going to help. It was RPO heavy, a lot of shotgun. And they did a lot of that because they thought that's what would be good for Jalen. And it turns out this is a little better because it's more balanced. So as they figure it out more, I'm curious to see. And I think they kind of tore it down to build it back up. That's what it feels like with this offense. So I'm curious now that they start to build back up what he's able to do. I've been encouraged by what I've seen from him recently. I have. Still not enough, but
yeah.
I'm it's intriguing nonetheless. And especially as I start to play some weaker opponents, he might start looking a little better.
Yeah. And the coach, as the coach, I still think they got to get more guys involved in the passing game than just Goddard and Devontae. I think that'll help them. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens these next 2 months. And we haven't even mentioned his running ability, which is, the guy is on pace for almost 1,000 rushing yards and a 6.0 average. He gets in the end zone. He's got 35 rushing first downs, which is 4th most in the league behind Lamar. I think Lamar has 36. And I guess it's
Henry and Taylor.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor's. Yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor's got 49. Henry's got 50, something like that. Or they both
49.
have 49. Yeah. So, that's pretty good company. He's got more rushing first downs than all but 2 running backs, and 1 is out for the year. Yeah. So, you got to look at the big picture. And it's funny, the anti-Hurts people will tell, the rushing stuff doesn't matter. It's all about, can he complete a pass? Well, everything matters. When you're evaluating a player, a first down is a first down. Like Nick said on Wednesday, 15 yards is 15 yards is 15 yards. And it's the truest thing he said this year. It doesn't matter how you're getting the yards. You You get the yards. I mean, you get the yards. You get the yards. So nobody's complaining after he moves the stick. So I don't know. Hopefully I don't go on Twitter for a while.
That's actually the big takeaway. Just stay off.
I think I might just not tweet about Jalen for the next year.
That might be tough.
Yeah, it might be hard to cover this team. And the other thing, that's my last thing on this, is there's a chance, like we don't. I mean, there's no slam dunk. There's some good quarterbacks coming out. There's no slam dunk. We don't know exactly where they're going to pick. So even if there is a slam dunk, we wouldn't know if they might not get them. You know, if
they can go get them.
The kid, yeah, they can. They've got the tools to do that. If the kid the kid from Pitt, maybe, can they go? But there's a chance they won't get that guy. There's a chance they won't be able to acquire a veteran if whether it's Russell Wilson or whoever. There's a chance it'll just be Jalen again next year, just because it makes the most sense. Let's use those 3 picks to get some players in here, which they desperately need. And
that's the fun part of this evaluation, because you're not just saying, is Jalen better than quarterback X? It becomes, is Jalen plus these draft picks and this draft picks and potential extra cap space, because he's still cheap, better than quarterback X? And that's what makes it fun, because there's other variables, not just quarterback to quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help thinking, like, if you go out and draft, whether it's a corner and a safety and an edge rusher, or 3 defensive players, and get that side of the ball shored up, and Jalen goes out and scores you 27 points a game, 25, 24, whatever, you win a lot of games. So yeah, it's going to be.
But we also know how this organization thinks.
Right. You're absolutely right. So it's going to be a really interesting offseason once we get there. Hey, score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts you come to expect from AAA. Get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For details, visit AAA.com/Eagles.
Joining us now on the Eagle Eye podcast, as he does every week, Ray Didinger. Ray, how are you?
Very well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. So this is our first chance to talk to you since the loss to the Chargers. They played it close, but ultimately they lose that game. Any big takeaways from that loss?
Well, it was a very frustrating day. I mean, it was a winnable game against a good team. I think there are positives to take away from it on the offensive side. I thought offensively they looked pretty good. I thought that Hurts played well. I thought Smith had his best game in a while. Offensively, I thought it looked like some things, you kind of see some things coming together. Defensively, not so much. And that's really disappointing. I mean, this is twice now. The Tampa Bay game and this game kind of came down to the same sort of finish, where the other team just got the ball with about 6 minutes to go. And in the case of the Tampa Bay game, just played keep away. And in this one, just walked it down the field to, what was obvious to all of us was going to be the inevitable field goal at the end to break your heart. So defensively, yeah, there was a lot of stuff in there that had you grinding your teeth. But if you want to be encouraged, I think there was stuff on the offensive side that you could be encouraged about. And it looks to me like Nick Sirianni is kind of honing in on an offensive formula that makes sense and seems to make sense for this quarterback.
Let's start with the positives and the last 2 games. You might know this already, but the first time the Eagles have run 39 or more times in back-to-back games and thrown 17 or fewer times in back-to-back games since 1949. They did it in back-to-back games against the Steelers at Forbes Field and then against the Rams at Shibe Park. And I mean, they had Steve Van Buren and Tommy Thompson, so it kind of made sense.
Right.
But how sustainable is this? I mean, they've gone from one extreme to a complete opposite extreme almost overnight. If this is the identity, to really limit the passing game and try to impose their will on teams running the ball? Can they keep it up?
I don't know that this is a formula that wins you championships in today's NFL, but I think what they have been able to do is kind of stabilize their current situation now, and come out with an offense that works for Jalen Hurts, and works overall. I think there's more that they can do with it. I think two of the things that are really important for them is to work more Dallas Goedert into the offense more. I mean, he's really a good player, and I think they need to find ways to get him the ball more often. And they need to be able to get more opportunities for Quez Watkins, who I think could be a big playmaker down the field. If they can incorporate those two guys more into the offense, along with the running game, I think they'll have something. If you look at and I did a breakdown, you guys probably did too, of the offense when Hurts is under center as opposed to when he's in the shotgun. The numbers were pretty revealing, I thought. They averaged about almost 8 yards a carry. 8 yards a snap when he was under center. They ran the ball extremely well, and I actually thought some of his best throws came off of those under center play action where he kind of sets up and delivers the football. It looks to me like that formula is working for them right now, and that's one of the things that I think makes this week's game very interesting, because the Broncos are kind of going through the same thing. If you look at the Broncos now, one of the ways that they beat the Cowboys last week was they had Teddy Bridgewater under center pretty much the whole game, not in the shotgun, and they were far more efficient that way. And, Javon Williams, the rookie running back, had his first 100-yard day. So they're kind of evolving in that direction about the same time that the Eagles are.
It's just so funny to think of Jalen being better under center than in the shotgun, because it felt like early in the year they were in shotgun all the time because of Jalen. And this offense, I think in the last 2 weeks, he's been really efficient. But Reuben and I talked about it earlier in the week. They're using this year to evaluate Jalen. Are they, with him throwing, 17 times in a game, can they still get the same kind of read on him as they would have in a more balanced offense?
It's going to be different. It's not what they envisioned, certainly. And we all know that this really isn't the preferred style of offense for this organization. They have one idea in mind, and this ain't it. But certainly what they were doing early in the season wasn't it either. And this has been far more effective. And, this offensive line, as I go back and I look at them, they run block very well. The offensive line's performance in the last 2 weeks has been excellent. It really has been. And, give all the credit in the world to Jordan Howard coming up and really making a contribution. And Boston Scott's contributing. And so the backs are doing their part. And Lord knows Hurts certainly did his part, making some big plays with his legs last week. But the thing that's really impressing me is the way the offensive line is playing and how good they are at run blocking. If we all agree that, games are kind of won in the trenches, then leaning on what your offensive line does best, to me, makes a lot of sense right now. I know at some point down the road here, we have to make some kind of a determination on just what the ceiling for Jalen Hurts is as an NFL quarterback. But it's obvious that he can function very well in this sort of a setup. And, we all talk about his accuracy and how much he has to improve his accuracy. But as a play action passer, when he sets up in the pocket and steps into his throws, his accuracy and his arm strength are quite good. So right now, I think, I know you're talking about in terms of evaluation, but right now you kind of have to do what you have to do to try and win games. And the formula that they have right now seems to be working pretty well.
And it's interesting because your quarterback can function better when he's not being asked to throw 50 times. And your offensive line can function better when they're not being asked to pass block 50 times. There's a reason teams don't do that unless they have to, if they're down big. But the whole thing just operates more smoothly when the defense doesn't know what's coming. Now, I think I kind of almost felt like they ran it too much on Sunday. I think somewhere in between 45 times and 2 times is probably a really happy medium. They've got really good running backs. I'd like to see them throw to the backs more. That was supposed to be a hallmark of Nick's offense, and they never do it anymore. They started out throwing to Gainwell. Miles wasn't really going too well. Boston Scott's a terrific receiver. They never target him. Gainwell needs to get back. And Jordan Howard's not a great receiver, but he can catch the ball. He caught, I think, 29 balls 1 year. So they can all do it. And once Miles comes back, that's another receiver. But I just think this offense, any offense, doesn't work well if you're always running or always throwing or, always doing the same thing. And I'd like to see him get back to throwing to the backs and mixing things up. It's just becoming more unpredictable. You're right. I think they've made progress. Heck, they're averaging 25 points a game, which puts them in the top 12 in the league. They're scoring more points than the Chiefs, which is kind of crazy.
Let's not lose sight of the fact a lot of that was garbage time.
No question about it. But they have made progress offensively. I feel like they're going in the right direction on that side of the ball, as opposed to the other side of the ball.
Yeah, and I definitely think so. And part of it is just cutting way back on the penalties and not turning the ball over. Just that. The most rudimentary aspects of football, just not making mistakes, not committing penalties, and not turning it over, which was a real problem earlier in the year. They're just not doing that now. And that contributes to them being a far more efficient offensive team. I think people would be surprised. Heck, I was surprised when I looked at the numbers about what a good red zone team they are. They're among the better red zone teams in football right now. So they're taking advantage of those opportunities. And I really do think that for an offense that seemed kind of lacking in shape and definition early in the year, they've kind of found it now. Now, it might not be exactly what everybody thought it was going to be, but what they've got right now is working, and it's certainly working for Jalen Hurts. So, I would be reluctant to change. I think, some of the things that Reuben said about throwing the ball to the backs more, I really would like to see them use the tight end more. I think Goddard's a really good player who's a little bit underutilized, and I want to see more Quez Watkins. There's more things that they can do right now, but the thing that they've got going for them right now is the play of the offensive line and their ability to run the ball effectively. It'll be a challenge this week because Denver's run defense is pretty good. It's certainly better than what you saw with the Chargers.
Not lately, it hasn't been. They're one of the worst in the league over the last month, so it's interesting with all the players they've lost. I wanted to follow up on one thing you just said, though. Jalen hasn't thrown an interception in his last 3 games.
Right.
And we remember, and he's not fumbling. You remember what a big narrative that was last year. He fumbles too much. He throws too many interceptions. He actually he actually moved ahead of Nick Foles for best career interception ratio in Eagles history on Sunday. Dave's just shaking his head, but I'm not comparing him to Nick Foles, but I think it is notable, and it's something nobody's really talking about, is how much he's reduced his turnovers, and he's been secure with the ball. Has he lost a fumble this year? I think he lost one early. I believe he's thrown 4 interceptions in 9 games, none in the last 3 games. So I think he's trending the right way as far as the turnovers. That's huge.
Yeah, and I don't think you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he has turned it over once in the red zone this year. And we know that was a problem that Carson had a number of times when they were when they had really good field position, chance to score, was making a big mistake and turning the ball over. If this guy's turned it over once in the red zone, I can't think of it. So yeah, there's just far better execution on the offensive side right now.
All right, let's go to the other side then, because we went through some of the positives there. This defense, and maybe Justin Herbert's the last good quarterback they faced this year. Last, top tier quarterback they face. We'll see if Dak even plays in that regular season finale. But against top quarterbacks, Ray, this defense is giving up a lot, and it's troubling. 80%, 5 of the last 7 games. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's pretty awful. If Reuben's done the research and come up with the number of times that the Eagles have allowed opposing quarterbacks to complete 80% of their passes, which is just a mind-numbing number. And and you think that you've done it 5 times in one season, it's crazy. And I guess one of the ways you kind of look at the games now is you kind of know how the Eagles are going to fare against the really good quarterbacks. The answer is not well. But playing against the other quarterbacks, playing against Sam Darnold, playing against Jared Goff, playing against Matt Ryan opening week of the season, the Eagles have done well. I guess it depends on where you slot Teddy Bridgewater. Do you slot him more to the elite side or more to the average run-of-the-mill side? Because the Eagles have fared pretty well against those guys. Teddy is a guy throughout his career, and it's even reflected in the numbers this year, that if you try to play him with a zone and you give him the underneath stuff and the out stuff, man, he loves that. I mean, that's what he does best. And you see this year, his completion percentage, he's completing 70% of his passes. I mean, that's what he thrives on. So if the Eagles come out and Jonathan Gannon comes out and he plays that same style of defense he's played so far, then Teddy Bridgewater is going to go to town on you. So you just can't afford to let him do that. They have to find some way to control the run. And Gordon and Williams ran the ball really good against the Cowboys last week. So you have to do that first and, get Teddy out from under center and get him back into shotgun where he's less effective and find a way to harass him. I was surprised when I saw how many sacks the Broncos have given up this year. Giving up 29 sacks, that's a lot. I mean, that's there aren't too many teams in the league that have given up more. So there's really no reason for the Eagles not to get some pressure on the quarterback, and they're going to have to do that if they want to win this game.
So much of the blame for we talk about that 80%, and the shocking figure to me is 75% for the year, which is on pace to be the highest. Now, look, every year the league gets more passer oriented, and 70% is kind of what 65% was maybe 15 years ago, but still.
So are you saying the Eagles defense is like ahead of its time right now?
they're trailblazers. But how much, a lot of the focus when you look at that number has been on the secondary. But this D line is supposed to be elite. They're one of the highest paid D lines in the league, even without Brandon Graham. They have first round picks. They have guys with big contracts. They have Pro Bowlers. They've been held without a sack 3 of the last 4 games.
Right.
And I get that quarterbacks are getting rid of the ball quickly, but not on every snap. And they just have not, other than the Detroit game, they just really, to me, have been really disappointing.
Yeah. I was looking up one number here. Was if you look at Brady, Carr, and Herbert, those three games, those 3 quarterbacks threw 114 passes against the Eagles and weren't sacked once. Very hard to win in today's NFL if you don't get pressure on the quarterback. And I think that, especially last week, one of the things that bothered me was there didn't seem to be, and I think that Cox earlier this season and Hargrave to a lesser extent on Sunday kind of addressed this a little bit, that there has to be a partnership between what's happening up front and what's happening in the back. The secondary has to do something to jam the receivers, to either jam them, reroute them, slow them down, do something to disrupt the timing of the passing game. If you totally zone it and you play as off as this team does, especially with a quarterback like Justin Herbert, who is so pre-snap read oriented. I mean, he comes up the line of scrimmage. You show him that look. Before the ball's even in his hands, he knows exactly where it's going. And if you're a defensive lineman, that gives you very little chance to get home. So to allow the defensive line to do the things that they want to do, they have to get some cooperation from the guys in the back to just make that quarterback hold that ball an extra beat or 2 to give him a chance. And right now, that just isn't there. Now they're going to have to find some way to get it done this week. And, Broncos offensive line is really beat up. I think right now I was looking at it, they might be playing with 4 backups right now. And if you look at the numbers, again, 29 sacks, it sort of suggests that. So one way or another, whether it's adjusting the coverage or just getting more one-on-one wins up at the line of scrimmage, they have to find some way to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, this game is one where it almost feels like the Lions game where you're looking at the numbers and you're looking at what they do and you think, well, they're going to, of course, in this game, they're going to adjust. But I'm left with this frustrating feeling that throughout this year, they just never got better against top quarterbacks. And now that they're not going to face one, it's like they might play better in these last 8 games, but they're not even going to get another chance, another crack at a top guy. So it's
until the playoffs, like I said the other day.
Reuben made that joke the other day. I'll give you
but I do think Bridgewater is a good test because he's not a Brady or a Mahomes or a Dak, but he's not a Darnold or a Goff or a Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's kind of a middle, pretty good, not electrifying, but
yeah, he's okay. And they have some weapons. They have some good receivers. The running backs, like Ray mentioned, are pretty good. It looks like they're probably going to have their tight end back, and tight ends have given the Eagles some headaches this year. So I guess it's a good test, but I don't know. I'm just left with the feeling that Gannon had so many opportunities against top passers to just try something else. Like, what you're doing isn't working. Try something else, and he never did. And I've just been really disappointed in what he's brought. I know that maybe they don't have top end talent, but man, try something new. He started to blitz a little bit more in the last game, but
right.
The off coverage it's infuriating to watch.
It is, and I'm sure it is for the players too. But yeah, they have to do something like that. That's why I was asking you what the status of Slay is. Because I think this is a game where you're going to want to try to do that kind of stuff. I mean, the offensive line is not very good. And if you can find a way to slow down those receivers and interrupt the timing of the passing game and make Teddy just hold the ball a little bit longer, with the issues they got on the defensive line, your defensive line could get some real pressure in this game. I mean, I'm still trying to get my arms around what happened last week when Denver went to Dallas. I mean, that was the game. That game made no sense to me in any way. I mean, Dallas had been killing everybody, especially in Dallas. And you had Denver coming in and hadn't really shown anything against good competition all year. And then they go in and are up 30-0 in the fourth quarter. The game, I don't know if this represents some kind of a turning the corner for the Broncos or if this is a total outlier. I've tried to look at it from a lot of different ways, and I don't think I've come up with an answer yet.
I don't think Dak was ready to play. I think he kind of rushed back. I think that's a big part of it. If he can't move around, he's not a runner anymore, but if he can't move around, that takes a lot of his effectiveness away. And they were down big early. He just wasn't. He was missing guys.
He was, and they looked to me. This is the kind of thing WIP callers say this stuff, and I roll my eyes. But sometimes it's true. The Cowboys didn't look ready to play. They just didn't. You look at the way that this kid Williams ran through them. Like 7-8 yards a pop. And I like Williams a lot. I liked him when he was in North Carolina. He's a tough kid, 225 pounds, and he runs hard. But you look at how many tackles he broke in that game, and that's usually a pretty good indication about a team's readiness to play. And he was breaking tackles right from the first series. And to me, the Cowboys just looked like they were never in that game. Like they thought this was going to be easy. And, Dak's back. We're playing at home. Broncos aren't that good. Yeah, we'll just win this one easy. And it totally got away from them. But, we'll see. One of the things that I think is kind of interesting is you look at Vic Fangio, who's the coach of the Broncos. Throughout his career, one of his calling cards is he's always been really tough on young quarterbacks. And Jalen is not a rookie exactly, but he's still in that early learning phase. And Vic has had great success working against young quarterbacks that are still trying to figure it out. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's really important for the Eagles coaches to kind of keep this one simple for Jalen Hurts, and running the ball and putting him in a position where he's not facing a lot of long yardage situations, because that's where a sly old fox like Vic Fangio can really take advantage of a young quarterback.
I remember Vic from when he was on Jim Moore's staff when I was covering the stars of the USFL. And he made young quarterbacks like Doug Flutie and Steve Young look really bad. back when they were young quarterbacks.
Back when they were young quarterbacks.
All right, Ray, it's that time. Last week was a big week for Reuben and I. We got a game on you.
Yes, you did.
We did. So
Yes, you
which
did.
way you leaning this week?
Wow.
You know,
Ray's waffling.
I'm taking the Eagles. For one thing, I don't know if they'll ever win again at home, but they don't seem to have a problem winning on the road. And I'm still not a believer in the Broncos. I'm just not, especially in their current condition with as many guys beat up as they have. I look at last week's game and I wonder, how much of it was a response to the Von Miller trade. The guys bonding together, circle the wagons, rally the troops, yada, yada, yada. That's the best game they've played since they had Peyton Manning at quarterback. Really, it was. They were really good. I just don't think they're that good. And I liked the way the Eagles played last week. I really did. I really liked the way they battled. I liked the way that Hurts brought them back in the fourth quarter. I think they've found a little something there on the offense that works. I don't know if it's a long-term issue, but I think that right now they got something going. And I expect the defense to kind of bounce back. We've seen, when there's been a lot of criticism of the defensive coaching staff and going into the Carolina game, and they came out and they played well and they got a lot of pressure on Darnold. And again, the Detroit game this game's kind of on the defense. They got to take charge, and they did. This is a better challenge. This is a bigger challenge because, Denver's a better team, and I think Bridgewater's a better quarterback than those guys. But I look for the defense to rise to the occasion here. And the other part of it is, I think it's going to be close, guys. I don't see any way it's going to be one-sided one way or the other. I think it's going to be close. And if you look at the numbers, Denver's special teams are terrible. They don't do a single thing well on special teams. Their punter got one block last week. The kicker missed a field goal and a PAT. They get nothing in the return game. They don't cover well. Their special teams probably are the worst I've seen in the NFL all season. And in what I think is going to be a close game, one or two special teams plays could be the difference. So call me crazy, but I'm taking the Eagles 27-24.
You can call me crazy too, Ray, because I'm picking the Eagles this week too.
I'm on the island.
Are you picking?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a big week then for Rube, because if you pick the Broncos, you're going to have a chance to get a game on me. And
if the Eagles lose, Rube becomes Secretariat. He's going to be 32 lengths up, and none of us are going to catch him.
With Steve Coffin on the ride. Hey, Ray, I got to tell a quick story. You were probably at the game in Denver at the old Mile High Stadium. It was during the Ray Rhodes era, and the Broncos. Bubby Brister started that game. Elway was hurt, and the Broncos. I think they scored 28 in the first quarter. And early in the third quarter, they were up.
Terrell Davis went crazy, right? I remember.
Terrell Davis, I think, scored 5 touchdowns, had 200 yards plus. Only had like 13 carries. It was incredible. But so it's 41-0 early in the second half. And I used to sit at a lot of the road. I was sitting next to Ron Reed from the Inquirer, Rondo, who Ray knew well. Ron tragically died years ago. Really great guy, one of the funniest sports writers I've ever been around.
He was.
So it's 41-0, and he had this big, deep, booming voice. 41-0, and I believe it was William Thomas blocked a punt out of the end zone for a safety, so to make it 41-2. Which somehow sounds worse than 41-0. And you hear this voice in the press box, it's Rondo, and he goes, 20 more of those and we're right back in it.
Well, we could see that again this week, given the play of the Denver Broncos special teams. They're not very good.
I think it was Tom Ruin. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's my favorite memory of the Eagles haven't won in Denver in a long, long time. So you guys are going us. I'll either be tied with Dave and a game up on you, or tied with you and a game behind Dave, or up 2 on you and up 1 on Dave.
Yeah, I know.
This is huge.
There's a lot at stake this weekend.
A lot there is,
and none of it's actually on the football field. It's in our standings that really matter. All right,
There'll be good action somewhere.
Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
I look forward to it. See you next week, guys.
All right, Ray. At Nissan, we just made your choice for a new car an easier one than ever with our most exciting and fuel-efficient lineup. The choice is yours. Get great offers across our full line. Shop your local Nissan store today at nissanusa.com.
Rube, this weekend's going to be exciting. If you're definitely locked in on the Broncos.
I'm picking the Broncos.
Okay, that's good.
You know what? I have a hard time. I mean, the quarterbacks the Eagles have beaten, Matt Ryan, he's still okay, but I mean, what is he, 36, 37?
Something like that.
Mahomes, Brady, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert. These are, I mean, the quarterbacks they've beaten are all worse than Teddy Bridgewater, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, maybe you're thinking. I think you probably have a higher opinion of Bridgewater than I do.
No, I don't. I think he's maybe the 16th to 18th best quarterback in the league, maybe lower than that, maybe 20th. But I just don't know if the Eagles can and they run the ball, they got weapons. I think that it could be another good day for the offense, 24 to 27 points, and I'm gonna probably pick like 30 to 27 or something like that. I need to see this team stop a better than sucky quarterback, and before I can pick him against a guy. Yeah, I mean, Bridgewater's not elite, but he's efficient. He doesn't make mistakes. He's smart. He's a veteran. He's been around. He's seen it all.
Yeah, I guess my thing is I think Bridgewater, is he closer to the elite or is he closer to the Drek? He's probably almost
closer. Well, I think he's right in the middle.
Yeah.
I think he's equidistant from the Drek and the elite.
Yeah, I'm going. I actually think this is going to be a big game for the Eagles' defensive line.
It better be.
That Broncos O-line is banged up, and as accurate as Bridgewater is, he holds the football an awful lot. So
he does.
Yeah, I think they're going to get home. We'll see, and it'll be fun to. Either way, there'll be someone in sole possession of first place in our standings.
Yeah, and Barrett only has like 4 games to make up as well. So there's that.
Oh man, taking pot shots at Barrett.
I know. I should wait till until I'm in first place before I don't want to get a taunting penalty. Sorry about it. Can we delete that?
All right. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Please rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like and subscribe button there. For Rube, I'm Dave. We'll talk to you after the game in Denver.